All right, it's 10:25 on this Monday morning. We're looking at a pretty terrifying satellite image as we track Hurricane Melissa. And if you missed it earlier, Melissa now a Category 5 hurricane, winds at 160 miles per hour, a slow mover. And this is, we talked about over the last few days, a slow, painstaking process in tracking the storm as it continues its multi-day assault on the northern Caribbean. In kind of the worst case scenario, that not only do you have a Category 5 hurricane, but you also have a slow moving Category 5 hurricane over an area that's, contains some of the warmest water temperatures across the Atlantic basin. So the heat goes deep here. And so this is where that hurricane is getting its fuel. Let's come out to the Gulf Coast Hurricane Center right now, if we can. And I'm joined with Gulf Coast meteorologist Caroline Costura.
Hello, happy Monday, but not really a good situation that we are tracking with Melissa. You heard Jason talk about it. South of Jamaica at this point hasn't really started that turn off to the north just yet, but he talked about how slow it's moving. Right now, it's slowly going to the west at only 3 miles per hour in those very warm Caribbean waters as a Category 5 massive storm that we have situated down in the Caribbean.
Yeah, we were getting questions this morning about, how does this storm compare to a Hurricane Ian? Because Hurricane Ian was, one of these high-end storms, and we remember it was moving very slowly off of our coast. But this is kind of a different animal in that it's already sending tropical storm conditions, and it's not going to start to exit the island until late tomorrow afternoon. So they're looking at a couple of days of some really rough weather, destructive winds. We're going to be measuring rainfall in feet instead of inches here. So unfortunately, a crushing forecast when it comes to some of the impacts they're going to be dealing with. What we're looking at now is the wind field, as we call it. So in orange, that's where the tropical storm winds are, and then the hurricane force winds in the red.
And those winds extend 195 miles from the center, at least at tropical storm strength. That's represented by the orange shading that you see right there. The hurricane field, it's smaller, it's more consolidated, but those winds are more powerful at 30 miles stemming from the center for that red circle there. So Jamaica has already been dealing with tropical storm winds since yesterday in the eastern part of the island. And now that wind field's starting to expand even more and take up more space. And the storm hasn't even gotten really close to landfall at this point, which is why we keep saying it's going to be a multi-day event for the island and other parts of the Caribbean as well.
Yeah, I know we focus on Jamaica because it looks like they're going to get the brunt of the storm. We've got hurricane warnings in place for Jamaica, eastern portions of Cuba, where the hurricane will make a second landfall, but also over the southwestern peninsula of Haiti.
Yes.
They've been dealing with some of those outer bands, and they've got some rough weather there. So looking at the entire northern part of the Caribbean, Puerto Rico looks fine in this case. Somebody messaged me the other day and said, hey, my daughter's going to Puerto Rico. Are we going to have any issues there? But thankfully, Puerto Rico is going to be fine.
And if you have any questions, forgot to mention this, we are live on both YouTube and our Facebook page, so comment them. I'm going to be monitoring the chat to see what everybody's asking, if we can help answer any questions, provide any clarity. So please feel free to do that as we talk about the storm and the forecast overall.
And right now we're looking live from Kingston Harbor in Jamaica, and we've been checking the shot throughout the morning. This is on the southeastern side of the island. We don't have control of this camera, so you might notice it kind of zooming in here, and very rough already. The position of Kingston right now is kind of blocking. The winds are coming in from east to west around the northern side of the hurricane. And so there's some mountains on the eastern side of Kingston that's kind of blocking the full force of some of these winds. But as the winds begin to turn on shore, later tonight into tomorrow morning, that's when conditions are expected to really deteriorate.
And those mountains are important to the forecast of the storm, the rainfall totals, the wind speeds, because the terrain has an effect on the forecast in many ways that you might not think about. So some of those areas higher up in the mountains, it makes sense, but those wind speeds could be higher than down at the surface. And then also those rainfall totals too could bump up a little bit more as you get a little bit higher into the mountains as well, which is why there's that flood threat, but also the landslide risk with this storm that we've been talking about for a few days because of the feet of rain that is expected to fall with this storm.
Yeah, and let's go ahead. I want to take a look at the projected rainfall. And on average, probably looking at 10 to 20 inches, but there's going to be some pockets. You mentioned some of the higher elevations and some spots where they could pick up as much as 30 to 40 inches of rain within a couple of days. And no, landmass, this one in particular, is equipped to handle that much rain in a short amount of time. So extreme flooding is going to be a major concern. In addition to the destructive winds, the storm surge threat, so multi-pronged threat here. It's really sad to see this. It's been one of the worst storms that they've had likely since Gilbert in 1988.
And we don't say these things lightly. We aren't looking for a massive storm like this. It's really not enjoyable for us to stand up here and talk about the impacts and look at the forecast and see what's headed their way because of what will likely happen in the coming days with this storm, the feet of rain, the strong winds, storm surge, things like that. And this kind of leads me into one of the questions that we got was, will this storm be retired after the season? That's something that you can't really say until after the storm moves through. It's not, it looks like it's going to be bad. It's a Category 5, which is the highest category on the scale of things, but you got to wait a little bit towards the end of the season or once the season is over before they determine that.
Yeah, and there'll be plenty of time after the storm to talk about that. And like Caroline was saying, as we look at the forecast cone, we do expect Melissa to pick up speed gradually as we go through the next couple days. But right now it's moving at a snail's pace as a Cat 5, and will make landfall tonight into tomorrow morning over Jamaica, likely going right over the island. And we're probably going to see some weakening. We've talked about some of the mountainous terrain there. Some of that rugged terrain will help to disrupt the circulation a little bit, but still looking at the possibility of a major hurricane hitting eastern sections of Cuba. There's some high mountains there over that part of Cuba. And then once we get into Wednesday afternoon and Thursday, the storm is going to really begin to accelerate. And we'll talk about why that is in just a moment. But then impacting the Turks, Caicos, the southeastern Bahamas as a big storm before it really races off. And even Bermuda could see some impacts down the line. Kind
of a multiple punch storm. It's appearing that this forecast could take, this storm could take, but the mountains that we talked about, that could maybe lessen the impacts that we see down the line. Even current forecasts for parts of Turks and Caicos and the southern Bahamas, nowhere near as much rain as to what's forecast when it makes landfall in Jamaica, and then even as it heads towards Cuba as well. Those numbers bump down significantly rather than multiple inches of rain, say closer to a dozen or more. It's more of a moderate number, closer to 5 inches, maybe even 8 at times. So yes, that's still a lot of rain, but not feet of rain.
Yeah, and when you think about those rainfall amounts, those numbers that are being talked about, 40 inches of rain, I think that the closest thing that we would have to relate to that is Hurricane Harvey in 2017 that was just kind of sitting and spinning along the coast of Texas. I think they had over 50 inches of rain, or close to 60
was the
inches.
Highest amount that they registered from that storm.
And we remember seeing some of the devastating flooding there from parts of Texas. The terrain is a lot different in Jamaica, so you get a lot of that water kind of funneling into the same areas versus Texas is obviously a lot flatter there. So flooding is going to be a major concern. And as we take a look at, I know some of this is getting chopped off, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to move this a little bit because
TV magic.
You can't even see it right now. Yeah, let me just do this kind of on the fly here.
And I'll talk a little bit more about the rainfall totals. What they're going to see with Melissa, parts of Jamaica, that's more rain than parts of Jamaica see in the entire year. Yes, it's in the Caribbean, so they have a rainy season. They actually have multiple, but this all at once, and I guess over a span of a few days with the path and the motion of the storm, is why we are so concerned about the flooding and then the landslide risk, is because it's so consolidated in that time frame, and it is just going to be so much rain.
Yeah, and this is an area obviously that's part of the tropics, so they're used to being in the threat zone for hurricanes. But if you look at the history of landfalls in Jamaica, some of the most intense storms going back to 1950. Gilbert, which I mentioned earlier, made landfall as Category 4 hurricane in 1988. And then Charley, not the Charley we know, but the Charley that was used in 1951 as a Category 3 hurricane. And then Hurricane Sandy back in 2012 hit the island as a Category 1 hurricane. So we're looking at a Category 5 here. So that's why this could be the worst in recorded history that Jamaica is had to deal with. And I bet those storms are moving faster than Melissa. And it's just that the fact that it's just sitting there and spinning. So it's going to be a terrifying night to be in Jamaica and also through the morning tomorrow.
Yeah, lots of people are going to be thinking about Jamaica in the coming days just because of this storm. And I do have another question that I would ask. There are kind of two different people commented something that I can morph into one question. Someone said that it looks like it's moving away, not nearing Jamaica. Has the storm shifted? I think you're asking that because it hasn't started that turn off to the north, but it is still kind of going according to forecast at this point. It just doesn't appear that way yet because it hasn't started that curve off northward.
Yeah, and we're very confident that it will take that turn to the north. It's waiting on an approaching front that'll move through our area actually tonight and to tomorrow, and that dip in the jet stream will help to scoop it northward. And we can kind of illustrate how high the confidence is in the forecast by looking at a collection of various computer model forecasts. And what we're seeing now is the European forecast models, all the models that go into the European, and then all the models that go into the American in green. And that is, that's a high confidence forecast. And you can see all of them. We'll kind of zoom in here. And the majority, we call it the consensus, brings us up over Jamaica and then into eastern Cuba. And let's talk more about the why part of the forecast. And there's actually a connection to what's going to be happening here locally.
Yes.
And what's going to be steering Hurricane Melissa. So as we look at the Tropics Futurecast, notice that front that's over the panhandle right now. I'll put all this into motion, and you can see that front dive south over toward the Bahamas. Think of this as sort of like the guardrails that is preventing this from moving over toward Florida and the southeastern U.S. and eventually kicks it out to sea. We're not just tracking one front, though. We're tracking two cold fronts. We have another one moving in late Wednesday. So at this point, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, Hurricane Melissa is just pulling away from Cuba over the Turks, Caicos, and the southeastern Bahamas. And then it really starts to accelerate as it meets up with the second stronger cold front. But that's going to, obviously block any potential for the storm to impact us. Yes, the swells are going to be pretty high, rough surf along the East Coast, but not the Gulf Coast.
These fronts, I've been calling it cold front week. That's what I said yesterday, because there's two of them. And in a way, it's bittersweet to say this because of the impacts that we will see from this storm, but it does really protect us with the steering of those fronts. And that's also why the later we go during hurricane season, and usually that corresponds to seeing more fronts dive across the United States, that we see that threat generally lessen.
And we say sometimes that good news for us, bad news for somebody else.
That's a good way to put it.
And in this case, the Northern Caribbean will be dealing with a storm that, again, as we mentioned, probably one of the worst that they've had to deal with, at least in recent memory and recorded history. So we're really thinking about the folks there over Jamaica, Haiti, eastern Cuba, down across the Bahamas, and we'll be keeping you updated on the storm. Any more questions that we need to address here from Facebook or YouTube? All right. Coming up in the next 20 minutes, we'll have the 11 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. And Gulf Coast meteorologist Caroline Costora will be here for the Gulf Coast News at 11 a.m. What we'll be watching for this afternoon is that northward turn. It's moving west right now, very slowly, but we do expect it to take that northern motion a little bit later today. Landfall again happening tonight and into Tuesday morning. So, prayers, residents of Jamaica. We'll be keeping you updated here across all the platforms of Gulf Coast News. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live and YouTube.
Thanks for the questions, too.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the questions again. And Caroline will keep you updated here at 11 a.m. with that new advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Thank you.